Hi, and welcome to Storytime with Scott Boss. We are going to continue the Graveyard Gazette after an intense week last week. We're on to chapter 14. The news ran their stories repeatedly that evening. Pictures, quotes, and interviews from most of the group, including some of the kids, played before and after the commercial breaks. Angela and Johnny were the only ones that didn't receive airtime. Being the news, they focused a lot more on the deaths of the five that day, but Carrie's group knew it would have been more if not for them. Carrie brought 2 mugs of steaming hot chocolate to the couch. Angela accepted hers with a big smile. After dinner, they were walking back to their cars when she caught him with a line that always worked on him. "What are you doing later?" Carrie's answer for most of the past year had been, "Not much." He just hadn't been asked that question by a woman in quite a while. They were where they left off less than a week ago, marveling over the oddities of their lives as if nothing strange had happened in between. He watched her, smiling at a commercial on TV while she brought the mug to her lips, leaving a trace of chocolate foam she licked away. Her hair was down and loose, so different from the short blonde bun Laura always kept. He liked it, a change of pace under the strange circumstances they found themselves in. Carrie had found a paper that told of the people that would die that day. He doubted it and almost took his own life in the process until he met Angela. Now here they were, acting like a couple, sitting on the couch, sharing drinks, laughing. He felt the odd nostalgia of having a woman around the house and had to push back the silly thought to ask her to stay the night. It was too soon, way too soon, and what brought them together and what kept them together was too weird to form a relationship out of, wasn't it? "How's school?" he asked. "Oh, nothing too exciting." "You don't have any aspiring Picassos or Da Vincis in your class?" Those were all the artists he could think of at the moment without delving into Ninja Turtles. There are some better than others, but not really at this age yet." "What about your art? When are you going to show me a picture?" "Oh, I don't know. I hadn't thought of it. I'm really not that great, or I wouldn't be teaching." "Oh, come on. I'd like to see. I could show you a rear view mirror, but you've probably already got some on your car. Hell, I might have made 'em for all we know." She laughed, and when she looked up at him, her eyes gave him a look that made his stomach flip. There was something devious in her eyebrows. The way they moved could tell you the full story about her. If he was reading them right, that is. He figured he probably wasn't. "They are very nice mirrors if you did make them. I confess I don't use them enough, though." "Yeah, most people don't." Carrie's phone rang on the coffee table. "Vanoy House," it read, and Carrie's heart jumped. He stared at it, not wanting to look at Angela. "Who's that?" she asked. "Just give me a minute." Carrie picked it up and answered, walking to the kitchen as he did. "This is Carrie." And there was her voice, the one that had said so many sweet, sexy things to him, the one that recited wedding vows, to always love and cherish him until death. The one that grated on his nerves after a long day of work when she wanted him to fix something around the house. The one that was so cold and lifeless when she told him she wanted a divorce, like a different person had inhabited her body and decided to free itself of any ties. It was that voice in the receiver asking if he was there. "Yeah, I'm here. What's up?" he asked, as if she was just at the grocery store and was checking in to make sure they had enough bread, instead of the reality that he couldn't remember the last time he'd heard her. She paused for a second, "wanted to make sure you're okay." Carrie looked to the couch. Angela was drinking her hot chocolate and watching to the TV. Good, he thought. "Yeah, I'm okay. What's going on? It's been a long time." "I heard you were on the news. I was able to watch it online up here. That's crazy what you did." The news, he thought. Somebody probably told her. Her ex was a hero now. He didn't bother to ask who. "Yeah, it was crazy. You should have seen Bruce. Remember Bruce?" "Of course I do." "Right, so he smashed the door open with a tire iron, started pulling kids out, and we brought them back to the shore. Johnny said—" Carrie stopped. He was rambling, like he'd just gotten home from work and was telling the story to his wife, and not this estranged ex who had sent him a memento in the mail last week. Her last memento. "Carrie? It's just weird, that's all. Haven't heard from you in a while. I got the sweater." "Yeah, I just thought you'd want it back is all." "Yeah, thanks, I guess." He looked again. Angela hadn't moved, but he assumed she was listening. He stepped into his bedroom. Are you still at your parents'? I was just over for dinner when Marcy. You remember Marcy from the gym? I think so. He didn't. She told me about the story. I watched it with Mom and Dad. They were proud. Look at that, said Carrie. Only took me 20 years to make 'em proud. I knew I'd do it eventually. There's the sarcasm. She let out an exasperated sigh. Still in full force. Well, I wanted to tell you we saw the story. Glad you're okay. Yeah, well, the guys at work ask about you. I'll let 'em know you saw the news and that you're doing well. Thanks, I am. I'm happy. I hope you are. It's all I wanted out of this, you know? For you to be happy. Got it. Glad to hear. That's not what I. Loud and fucking clear. Carrie? He peeked out of his bedroom door, breathing hard through his nose. A calming method that didn't work. It just made him feel like an angry bull. He jumped when he saw Angela right outside. Sorry, she said, holding up her hands. Bathroom? He forced a smile and pointed to a door a few feet down the hall. Oh, I'm sorry, said Laura. You have company. I'll let you go. Right, yeah. I should go. Thanks for checking in. Bye, Carrie. Bye. He hung up, staring at the contact Vinoy house as it flashed and disappeared from his screen. It had clicked in his head during their call that she called him from the number so she wouldn't have to give him her cell. At least, why else? Maybe she didn't have a cell anymore. He knew she'd changed when he took her off their family plan with AT&T, but how else would Marcy contact her? He heard the toilet flush, water running, and a few seconds later, Angela emerged from the bathroom. Carrie was stuck in his bedroom doorway. Hey, she said, you okay? You look a bit red. Yeah, ex-wife. Laura? That's the one. She saw the news story. Oh, Angela's eyes went soft. But you haven't talked in a while, right? Yep. He was surprised how much she remembered from the story he told that night they met. He tapped his phone and the time flashed 10:15. Well, work, huh? Yeah, I'd better let you get home to bed, too. Right. I'll see you in the morning, though. What time, 7? He nodded. But don't you have to work? She shrugged. I'm taking the day off. I can do it. I've got the time. You sure? Yeah, I'm sure. It's my life, unless you don't want me there. No, of course. This morning was amazing. We couldn't have done it without you. Okay, then. Her shoulders jumped up a little. I guess I'll see you then. Yeah. Carrie stood. Sorry to. Let me walk you out to your car. Such a gentleman, Carrie. Oh, I don't know about that. They got to her Honda and she stood at the door, her eyebrows once again telling him a story he thought he knew but didn't dare to say so. She lingered, holding the handle but not opening it. Well, he said finally and hugged her. See you in the morning. She held firm for a minute after he let his hands free, her head buried in his neck. The warmth of her that close kicked Laura out of his thoughts. Then she released him, got in her car, and drove off. Carrie was riding high that night at work. He'd found over the years that the monotony of his job was a good way to give you time to think, but you needed something good to think about. If you had nothing to think about, or perhaps a divorce to dwell on for 8 hours a night, 40 hours a week, it would drive you insane. That night, though, he had good thoughts on his mind. It's not every day you save kids from drowning. And then there was the thing happening with Angela. He wasn't sure how to define it yet. His lonely self wanted badly to call it something, but out of any relationship to ever have, this was not one you could rush, especially given her past. Before he knew it, lunchtime rolled around. He found he couldn't walk anywhere at work without someone congratulating him or at least patting him on the back. He could get used to that, considering he usually just got a grunt from the other third shifters for a greeting. One guy, who he only recognized because he was always driving a forklift around, stopped him in the bathroom while Carrie was at the urinal. After an awkward talk, Carrie managed to finish and wash his hands. He was relieved to see the guy step up to the urinal and made his escape while he was zipping down his fly. Carrie made a mental note to always use a stall from there on. There was just a couple greetings in the break room as he sat down to eat yet another sandwich he'd thrown together. The meat was borderline, and when he had made it, not completely slimy or stinky, but headed in that direction. He'd have to go grocery shopping soon. He just didn't know when his life would slow down yet. Johnny and Michelle joined him shortly at the table. Yeah, they're taking me out for drinks tonight. Johnny was finishing a story to Michelle as they sat. Who's that? Asked Carrie. Couple of guys from shipping I know from way back. I'm telling you, Carrie, if I'm not careful, I'm going to have ladies following me home soon. You can't be too careful about that. Carrie was unsure if his statement was meant for Johnny or himself and Angela. I think I beat you to it. Michelle held up her phone. There was a text message from Crystal that read, "What are you doing tonight?" followed by a wink. Well then, said Carrie, is that still a thing? Michelle shrugged. It hasn't been. I guess all you gotta do is save a few kids from drowning and to light that fire again. Gonna see that ass tattoo again? Johnny raised his hand for a high five that went unmet. Say hi for me. She gave him a dirty look. So what are you gonna say? Asked Carrie. I don't know. Michelle stared at the text. I'm not good at these things. I blew it with her last time. It's weird to feel like I have the upper hand for once. You, said Johnny. You, repeated Michelle. That's what you reply. Anytime a girl has ever asked me what I'm doing that night, or any night, really, I say, you. Works every time. Michelle laughed. There's no way that line works for you every time. I almost doubt it's ever worked for you. Johnny flipped the pepper shaker and paused at his surprise that it landed upright for once. Hell, worked with Kathy. Whatever. Michelle stood up. I gotta figure out what to say without you watching me. She headed out of the break room. Thunk. The pepper shaker landed on its side. Did you hear Bruce is going to be on that Turf and Talk show? What? Asked Carrie. What's that? You know, the local one with the old Panthers assistant coach from a few years back? Never seen it, said Carrie, but I'd watch if Bruce was on. He said he was meeting up with them later today. God, I hope he wears an old jersey of his. I will so dog him for that. Carrie just nodded, eating small bites of his sandwich. What about you? Anything going down with you? Not much, said Carrie, just taking it all in, I guess. What about Angela? Johnny raised his eyebrows. Something there I should know about? And when I say something, I get it, said Carrie. He held up a hand to stop his thoughts. We're just friends at the moment. Thanks for asking. Well, you never know. Maybe Laura will call you. Carrie wasn't going to tell him she already had. Maybe if it went differently, but the whole phone number thing still pissed him off. And after the sweatshirt, he knew she was done with him. Saving kids or not didn't change their past. If she showed up now, oh hell, he'd still take her back. He knew damn well he would. The group met at the graveyard. Carrie pulled next to Angela's car and she got out to meet him. Hey, she said, how was work? Carrie shrugged. Not bad, actually. We're all kind of celebrities for the day. Oh, yeah? Yeah, has anyone from your work said anything? Angela shied away. Oh, no, I haven't really talked with anyone. She looked towards the gates across the street. Hey, I saw something strange when I got here. Oh, yeah? Stranger than the paper? Well, no, but I was here just before sunrise, like a half hour ago. There was a light on in that building. She pointed up to the small cement building with vines growing up the sides. Really? Carrie looked across the graveyard. Was someone in there? She nodded. I think so. I saw a shadow at that little window, but it's too blurry to see more. Maybe if I got closer, but there was no way I was going to try to climb the fence or anything by myself. I don't blame you, Carrie squinted. Seems like the light's off now, right? Yeah, it went off about 10 minutes ago, and nobody came in or out. I swear I watched it the whole time. I believe you. That's just weird. The other three had arrived and joined them. What's weird? Asked Johnny. Angela saw a light on in that building. Maybe someone in there, and then it went out. She hasn't seen anyone come or go, though. Weird, said Bruce. Could be a timer, like those ones they use for Christmas lights. Why, though? Said Angela. Well, I don't know. Just a thought. Did you get the paper yet? Asked Johnny. No, Angela shook her head, still staring off. I wanted to watch the building until you guys got here. Well, let's grab it then, said Johnny. Someone comes out, maybe we can ask them what the hell this is all about. The group agreed, and after retrieving the paper and seeing no signs of life from the building, they were reading together on the hood of Carrie's car. Mother shot dead by 5-year-old, the caption read. Oh shit, Michelle pointed. Then her hand went to her mouth. I know her. You know that lady? Asked Johnny. Michelle nodded, reading intently below the picture. Janet Greenwood was pictured with a short story of how her kindergartner Sophie woke from a nightmare, thinking there was an intruder in the house, gotten a hold of Daddy's gun, and accidentally shot her mom as she tried to disarm her. The father explained, through heart-wrenching pain at the report, that he kept it in a nightstand in case of emergency. He was at work at the time. "This is awful," said Michelle. "Sophie is the sweetest little girl. I even went to her 4th birthday. I knew Janet from—" Michelle paused and looked around. "Oh, hell, we're in this deep already, aren't we? Nobody repeats this." She pointed at Johnny. "You hear?" "Why are you looking at me? What happens at the graveyard? Stay just okay. Janet was the social worker who placed me in a halfway house when I got out of prison." She let the sentence sink in. "Jesus," said Johnny. "This was about 10 years ago. I haven't always been a productive member of society. The fact that she would even invite me to her daughter's birthday says a lot about the woman." "Says a lot about you," said Bruce. "You've become a better person than you were." "Damn," said Johnny. "If I'd known you'd done hard time, I never would have arm wrestled you. I'm surprised you didn't try to shank me." "Johnny," Michelle pointed between his eyes, "not a word to anyone else." "You got me. I ain't saying nothing." "We've got to do this," Michelle continued. "This woman is the reason I'm not on the street or back in prison." "Well, of course we're doing it," said Johnny. "Why do you think we're here?" "You have her number?" asked Bruce. "You could call her now. Talk to her somehow." "Well, that's where it gets sticky," said Michelle. "There's a reason I went to Sophie's 4th birthday and not her 5th. "And that reason is?" asked Johnny. Michelle sighed and looked off towards the road. "We kind of had an affair." "What?" said Bruce. "You said she was—" "I know. She is a good woman. She did help me. She's helped a lot of people. It wasn't until years later I'd lost touch with her. I'd straightened myself out. I was working in my own apartment, all that jazz. This is when Crystal and I were on one of our breaks as well, and I saw Janet at the grocery store. She was always pretty, but her damn husband, Rick, just didn't appreciate her. I think she's always been a bit curious, if you will, about the other sex. She was with Sophie, who was about 3 at the time." "Wait," said Johnny, "that's like 2 years ago." "Yes, let me finish. Anyway, we exchanged numbers. We met for coffee a few times to catch up, as you do, and eventually, when I wasn't the one spilling all my issues on the table like before, she started spilling hers. Rick was distant and cold to her, yada yada. By the 3rd or 4th time, she's telling me he doesn't take care of her like he used to. Without straight up saying it, I knew what she meant. So hell, I had nothing going. I tried to be there as a supportive friend, and Rick worked 3rd shift, so she'd be alone every night with Sophie. This is right before I switched to 3rds at Claxcorp. Anyway, sparing you the details, we had some side action going on that Rick didn't know about until Sophie's birthday. It was one of them weird adult and kid birthdays where they let the kids out back and had drinks inside for all the parents. I don't know what I was thinking, or what I was doing there. I don't know what we were thinking. I had a few too many, and Rick caught me being a little too friendly with her. I knew my place. I got out of there before he introduced me to one of his guns. I tried contacting her a few times after that, but couldn't get through. She must have blocked me, or he did. I ran into them again 6 months ago, heading out of Walmart. I tried to say hi, to catch up at least. Forget the fling we had. There was a lot more history to us that mattered more than that. Rick wasn't having it. He told me his family to get in the car and he'd be right behind. Then he followed me to my car to give me the what for. If he ever sees me near his property again, he's going to shoot on sight. I guess time had not curbed his anger at me. Johnny held up the paper. "So, our mission today is to go into a man's home who has a lot of guns and try to take one away?" "Far as I know, he still works 3rd, said Michelle. "The article says he was at work at the time. That would make sense." "But we work 3rd, said Johnny. "We can't all take off. Hell knows I can't get any more call-outs on my record." "Well, I can," said Michelle, "and I'm going." "What about the police?" said Bruce. "Can't we call them or something?" "And tell them what?" Michelle talked with her hands. "He's got a gun in his drawer he has a permit for. I have to do it. I know where the gun is. I even know where they keep a spare key." "If it's still there," said Johnny. "Jesus, this is insane," said Carrie. "One of us needs to come with you." "I can go," said Angela. "I don't work 3rd. I can drive you or back you up, whatever you need." "Sounds good to me," said Michelle, "but I'm going in alone." They exchanged info and made plans. Carrie stood by nervously until Johnny patted him on the shoulder. "Looks like we'll sit this one out. They'll be all right, though." "I know, it just feels weird. I feel like we're a team now." We are, said Bruce, but we can't all go busting into this house. I guess I'd just like to be there for moral support if nothing else. Then take the day off, said Bruce, whatever makes you sleep at night. I can't. I mean, I shouldn't. I used up most of my sick days with that surgery earlier in the year. They don't reset until January. Plus, I'd just be a third wheel. Bullshit, ain't it? Johnny looked around and scratched his chin. I'd better get going. I need to catch some Z's before tonight. If I get shit-faced, just plan to pick up the slack for me at work. Pick up your own slack. Bruce patted his pockets for his keys. I'm out too, ladies. You be careful. Let us know how it turns out as soon as you can. We'll be waiting to hear. Michelle threw up a hand. Thanks, we will. Then she turned to Angela. See you at 10 then? See you then. Soon, Bruce, Johnny, and Michelle all pulled out, leaving Carrie and Angela both lingering at their cars. What are you doing later? She called to him. Carrie thought of Johnny's stock answer but didn't use it. I don't know. My cupboards are bare, but I've got to get some groceries for sure. What time do you get up? Usually around 3. You doing anything? Not really. You want dinner? I'll cook if you let me use your kitchen. Mine's out of order right now. My kitchen would love to have somebody cook in it, with something besides the microwave or the toaster. Oh, that sucks, she smirked. I was going to make you microwave toast. Guess I'll have to pick up something else. Do you mind if I come with you to the store? I don't see why not. Maybe you can help me pick out some real food to last me a few days. Usually end up spending $100 and still have nothing to eat. Angela nodded. I could try, but I've got one good meal my grandmother taught me to make. Chicken Alfredo with homemade Alfredo. Isn't that the white sauce that comes in a jar? She started to reply, but then saw his growing smile. Yes, but it's much better homemade. You'll see. What about asparagus? Doesn't it make your pee stink? Angela frowned at him. Do you like it? Stinky pee? He waved a hand to forget his last comment. Sorry, sure, I guess. I don't remember the last time I had it. Well, I'll make it good. You'll like it. Stinky pee and all. That's the end for today. See you next week.